Hi guys, I am back again and we are ready to do the final attachment of the ears. In our last video we got them all prepared and we got them glued on, but now we're going to do the final stitching layer. On this ear I actually did that the other day, and you could see some little stitch marks that were here, but then I brushed them out with my needle, and we'll finish that off with the hairspray when we're done with the second ear. So what you're going to do is get your needle threaded with a single strand of thread, and make a small knot and pop the knot through. So I've got it coming out right close to the edge of my ear. And I'm going to go, so I came through, oh, that knot might have been too small. Let's try it again through another spot. Okay, let's see, popped through. Oh, nope, so that knot was a little too small. I'm going to try one more. So I think that one had 2 wraps around my needle. So let's go 1, 2, 3 and see where we land. Sometimes if the knot is too big, it won't go through, and too small, it just pops all the way through. So let's give it another go. All right, let's see about this one. Oh, there we go, it's in. We can just brush over the hole it made. Okay, so we've got these sort of fluffy edges, but we're just gonna go ahead and connect them. So I went through that first stitch, I grabbed mostly the head surface, and then I'm going back now and I'm grabbing onto where the ear is attached. So I'm going to go down like this, so my needle is going to head down into the head and then tilt back up. That's kind of a tricky maneuver, so sometimes what you need to do is press down with this finger to make the fiber of the other part of the head push out of the way. So I'm going to go in this way and then press down and come out where I can see my needle. And then this stitch I'll go back through the ear, and then we'll go down again, push the head out of the way, and come out like that. Okay, so just keep doing that right along the ear. You can see where I'm attaching. And all these stitches that we make here are going to get tucked away underneath the fibers because we're going to brush them out. So I'm catching the ear on the pass towards the back of the head and catching the head on the pass towards the front of the head. So you may notice as you're going through that you hit a few spots that have where it's a little tougher to push your needle through because of the glue. If you need to use pliers here, you certainly can to pull your needle back and forth through. But I seem to be doing all right now. You could also use a thimble if you have any of those on hand, and that will also work to help you push that needle through. All right, so we're getting down to the fluffy bits on the side of the ear. And so you can see here, see if we can go right up to the camera here, and yeah. So you can see here that those stitches are pretty prominent, but we're going to get rid of those. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back through here and make my knot in a separate spot here. Okay, so now I'm going to make the knot to finish things off and pop that through. And then I'm going to bring it back up to the camera and we'll brush out the stitches we just made. All right. So if you've got a little hole from where your thread popped through, you can just brush over that. And then back here, make sure we're in focus. Okay. So back here, same thing, we're just gonna soften up the fibers again. and brush out anything that's visible with our stitching for attaching the ears. All right, and so now we're ready for hairspray. Things are a little fluffy on the face, and the hairspray will help keep our fibers in check. All right, so pop the top of this. Give this guy a little spritz. All right. Okay. So what I want to do here now is just blend or sort of soften the hairspray into the fiber so that we don't have any sort of beading of the hairspray on the surface. And then we can give the little ears a trim after this if we want to just kind of take off some of that fuzz, because we got a lot going on there. Okay. And then if you want to, you can go back. If the eyes get a little bit cloudy or anything from the hairspray, you can go back and hit them with a paper towel. All right. And clear any hairs away from the eyes if you need to do that as well. Okay. So I think I want a little more hairspray here to hold this down. I'm gonna just cover his eye this time. Okay. Great. All right. So I think he's pretty much ready with his hairspray. Let's see if we can focus again. All right. Okay, so let's give him a little ear trim. Just kind of, so I'm just gonna, well, first I think I'm gonna go around and trim off a little bit of this, so the ears have their fuzz, but it's not quite as long, because I think his ears were just looking a little too big for me. Okay, so now he's had a nice little haircut, and then I'm going to go back and soften this up a little bit just at the edge. Just so it doesn't look quite so coiffed. I don't think red pandas are getting haircuts these days out in the real world. All right. I guess none of us are. All right, let's see here. A little more trimming. Maybe even you can kind of go in at an angle and soften up the edge to take off that really crisp cut look. All right, so I think that's good on the ears. That kind of tidies them up a little bit. Get some of this out of the way. Okay, so now we are, oh yeah, so in the back of the head, so now all that stuff is, all those fibers are kind of held down by our hairspray back here, and you can add more if you feel like you need it. But I think I'm in pretty good shape here. Okay, so next we're on to whiskers, And I've got some white thread here for us for that. And so one of the things that I found about doing whiskers is that if it's just the plain old thread, they kind of just flop down and don't hold up like regular whiskers, like real whiskers do. And so I thought, what can I do to fix that up a little bit? And so I came up with this idea of waxing the whiskers. So you guys probably have a candle at home. I think any candle is probably going to work for this, but I know that you can buy thread conditioner that's made out of beeswax. So I'm just going to use this little tea light candle that I have here, and we'll see how that works. So I'm just on this one I used an actual thread conditioner that was beeswax, but for some reason I can't find that right now. But you can buy that or just use a candle that you have on hand. So all you want to do is just give the wax, pull the thread through the wax, and that's going to make the wax or make the thread have some body to it so that it doesn't just flop down. And you can sort of bend it and move it into position and give the whiskers personality. Okay, so once you've got your thread waxed, we can just thread our needle. And what we want to do is make a knot that will stop our thread and leave a tail on here. So I'm going to do that the way that we do our beginning knots. So instead of holding my thread down here on my finger, I'm going to hold the thread here and make my wraps. 1, 2, 3. Let's do 3 for now. And then I'll pull my thread through the needle. And so now I've got a knot that's further in from the end of my thread. So let's just take a look here and see what we get. So see how that, now this is obviously a lot longer than it needs to be, but you can see how that knot is holding it there. And then on this side, we'll do an ending knot like that. And so now we have a whisker that is secured into the face. And we're just going to continue and do a few sets of those. So let's make this one a little shorter because that was sort of a waste of thread. All right, so we've got our beginning knot that's set back from the end of the thread. And then we'll go through his face and make a knot here and trim. I think we can get one more out of this piece of thread. So I'm leaving them a little long here, and then I'll go back and trim them after I get them all in. So I don't know how many you want to put in. I think I did 5 on the last guy on each side. So now we've got 3. We're on our third one. Okay. All right. Ooh, maybe we can even get one more. My needle again. Okay. All right, and so then we'll just wax one more piece of thread and I think do the final final whisker. All right. Let's see, where's it going to go? I think over here would be good. Just bend those whiskers out of the way so they don't get in the way of my knot. All right. So then we can just fiddle around with the whiskers, pull them out. So we can get a sense of what they look like together, and then we can trim them to length. All right. So I'm just kind of guesstimating here on making them even, sort of eyeballing it. Maybe this guy can go a little lower. There we go. All right, so now the whiskers have their little wax on them and they stick out kind of nicely. I sort of like them when they're a little kind of naturally bent or whatever. There we go. All right, so we've got our whiskers. And, so the next move we're gonna make here is to color in, let's see how this pen is. It looks like it might be all right. So I'm using one of the Prismacolor pens for this. Right around the side here, we're just gonna go in and add the darkened black bits that they have on their cheeks, sort of between their muzzle and their cheek. So I'm just sort of doing, you know, each stroke like it's a bit of hair, you know. Not so that it's completely colored in, but just so that you have these little soft lines that create the fur. All right, so there we go. I think that's good. Maybe I'll go right up to the eye here. Just a little bit more. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay. What is next? I don't know if you can hear my dog running around here. She's ready for dinner. But she's gonna have to wait a couple minutes. Because it's only 4:47. She's ready. Go lie down. Go lie down. Go ahead, sweetie. Go lie down. Okay. Where are we? We are. Oh, here. So I have this tiny little, I think this is leftover. This might be the thread from putting on the eyes. So I'm just going to make a little, poke that back through. I think that didn't get completely hidden. Okay. All right, so then we're ready to assemble our guy here. So let me go over how the body works. So we finished up our tail instruction in the last video, and then we're going to be putting together the body using the Felix Fox body. So I just wanted to show you what I did here. So I took the fox body and I sliced it here at the crotch, and so I cut one side out of the spice color and one side out of black. And then I made the legs and the arms out of black. So this is the arm unit that goes across and the leg unit here. And they're both just divided by our pipe cleaner spine. So then we kind of sneak this around like we're putting on some diapers or something. What we want to make sure about is that the legs and the arms, where we attach the pipe cleaner, it's right through the center, so he doesn't have a short and a long leg. And then the same for the arms. You just want to make sure that the arms are centered. And also, you want to make sure, so on this pattern, oh, it's good, you can see it really well in the black. You see this little point here? So this is the neck, and this point is the top of the shoulder. So you want your arms not to go above that little corner point on your pattern. So when I lay this down, so right here it's like, you can see that this curve just goes into the arm like that. And when I tip it up, you can start to see a little bit of that flat that's the side. But what you want is for that corner bit to run right along the edge of the arm here. Okay, so here we go. We've got the front belly and the back, and then I'm just going to throw in a couple little pins here just to hold that in place while we stitch around the sides of the body. And so here the question is, what do we want to use? Do we want to use the body color thread or the back color thread? Because we're connecting two different colors. It honestly doesn't really matter, because what we're going to do here is blend in that seam with our pens. So I think maybe on this one, do I have my black thread handy? Here it is. I think maybe on this one I'm going to use the black. On the last sample I used the body color, and that worked fine because it all got colored in with black. But since we're coloring in with black anyway, maybe there's less work to do if we do the thread in black. So let's give that a go. All right, get our needle threaded, and I'm going to use a single thread again on this. I really like using the single thread on most of the body stitching now, and I just use 2 strands of thread when I'm attaching a head or a tail, or when I really want a stitch to show up for one reason or another. Okay, so on this bit it's a little tricky to stitch around the legs, but so where I'm going to start is right at the hip. So I'll do a stitch where I'm connecting the front and the back side at the hip. And then here we're going to start to do a stitch that grabs a bit of the leg and the edge of the front body. Let's see if we can get that nice and close up again. All right, so I'll try to do my stitching up here. All right, so here again, we're going to grab leg and a little bit of that edge. And it's okay that we're seeing this black stitching here, because that's all going to get covered with pen later. And if you need to move the arms out of the way, you can do that too, because everything is bendable. So now, as you get to this bit here at the crotch, it gets a little hard to do that same stitch that we were doing just then. So sometimes I like to switch over and I go just, so right now I'm just going through the leg parallel, like I'm going to do a blind stitch, and I'm not catching the body at all. So I go through like that. Sometimes you'll catch an arm. And then I'm going to come back this way because it's just easier and easier to grab that edge in that direction. So I'll grab that edge in that direction, and then I'll go back through and go parallel again just through the leg. So I'm making each stitch now in 2 passes, and I'll go back this way and grab the body color. Parallel again, and then back in the kind of opposite direction to grab. We've got an arm again. And then here, it's going to be easier. I can start to grab both in one shot again. So it's just kind of coming around that crotch area where it's helpful to do that sort of hybrid stitch where you're doing it in 2 passes. This is impossible to see in black, of course, so I'll just go around here, and this is everything in 1 pass. So we grab the leg and the edge of the body in the same one. Okay. And then when we come back to the hip, so that's our starting point, and now we've secured that leg into the body. Then we'll come back here and we'll just do a whip stitch up to the armpit on this side. So my hands are a little sticky from the hairspray, so I didn't do it now because I'm just trying to get this all in, you know, in one shot here. But you may want to wash your hands after doing the hairspray thing, because it definitely adds a film. Okay. So I'm going to bend the arms back down so that I can really see where that armpit's going to be. And actually, so this is kind of handy. I might even throw a pin up here just to really keep the shoulder in place. So then I can take this one out. And we'll do a couple more stitches to get up to the armpit, and then we'll switch to the other side and do the same thing. Do a few on top of each other there, and then we'll knot the thread off. Okay. Let's get another piece, and we can do the other side. All right, so we're going to do that hip again. And this time we're going to be coming from the back to the front, or wrapping around the leg from the back to the front. Before we went this way, and then this time we're going to go this way. So we'll do our one pass stitch where we grab the leg and the edge. And again, you definitely want really good lighting when you're sewing in black because it's so hard to see. Okay. So here's the bit where we're going to go in two parts. So parallel, then come back and grab the edge, parallel, and then come back and grab the edge. Maybe do one more of those, parallel, come back and grab the edge, and then I think we can switch again to just the one pass stitch. I don't know if you could hear that barking, but our dog has a special game she plays. We call it the cookie game, and we take a little small handful of her cookies, which she loves. She'll do anything for them, and we throw them over the balcony, and she runs down the stairs and snarfles them up in the driveway. So, but she barks for us when we tell her we want to play the cookie game. Okay. Anyway, it brings joy to everyone. It's awesome. It makes me smile, and she is so funny. She loves it so much. Okay, so now we're going to go up the side and do our whip stitch again right up to the armpit. Okay, that looks good. So I'm snug up under that armpit there, but I can still close the top of the arm where that point comes together. So I'll just knot my thread here, and then we can stuff the lower body. And I'm going to pop that knot through here. Okay. All right, so now we are ready. Take that pin out. We are ready to stuff the lower body. All right, so here we are, ready to stuff the lower body. You may notice a little something has changed on my tabletop here. Yesterday, I was filming the same video that I'm filming right now, but apparently I had it on photograph. So I put the whole body together and did all the body stuffing, and I didn't film any of it. So while we have the body all finished here, let's just take a quick look at it. Anyhow, so we'll stuff the body and we'll finish assembling it, and then I'm going to show you show you how to pen in the edges here and make that transition soft. And then I might demonstrate how to attach the head on a different body, because I have one of those ready too, and the small head has to get reconnected to the other body. So here we go. So forgive the delay. I was really thinking that I was going to get this out to you guys yesterday, but since apparently I didn't film it, here we are again. Okay, let's see. So taking a look at the body here, we have this is the back side of the body, and this is the front side of the body. And what we want to do is maintain keeping our little pipe cleaner skeleton in the center of the body, so he doesn't have sort of a longer arm and a shorter arm. So I'm just going to put a little bit of stuffing in there and then flip over, And I'm doing these sort of small pinches so I can get them down into the body the way that I want to. So with all the animals in this body style, so the fox, the Dalmatian, and eventually the cats, which will be coming soon, you don't want to overstuff the body because it will definitely affect the way that the clothing fits. So if they get too packed in the body, then the clothing can be a little bit too tight. So, so don't go overboard here. The heads I like to stuff a lot more firmly. So I think that's probably pretty good. Maybe we could put a little more in the back here before we stitch up the neck. This guy I made a little bit skinnier, maybe even than usual yesterday when I was filming, not filming. But he could probably use a little more, he could probably have used a little more stuffing back here, in my opinion. But every now and then, you know, they all have their own personalities. Okay, so this guy has got just a little bit more stuffing in there, I think. All right. So also be aware that as in this area where the arms are going through, you need really even less stuffing because those are behaving as some of the stuffing. So too much in here will make it so the coats don't button if you kind of get overboard there. Let's see. Okay. All right, so now I think we're ready to stitch up the top portion of the neck. So let's just take a quick look at that one more time. We can see it pretty well on this side. So this area here up until this corner is all the neck. And this corner right here is the top of the shoulder. So we want that corner to meet up with that corner on the opposite side and come together to be the shoulder. So let's see, we've been using black thread. So let me get a piece of black here. All right. So I have to tell you, the most nerve-wracking thing about doing any of these videos is that my fingernails always just look horrible. We're working on renovating our porch right now, so in between videos I'm staining boards and sanding things and all manner of work that destroys your hands. So anyway, today I'm just kind of throwing in the towel and not worrying about it. But my hands were just never really made for prime time, I think. All right, here we go. All right, so I'm just reaching that little point on the shoulder. Okay, and I'm going to take a look at the arms right now and just make sure that we're right in the center and that the arms are the same length. Let's see. I've got to get rid of this cord up here. I keep hitting it and bonking our camera. Okay. All right, so 2 and 4 tenths. Pretty good there, I think. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and go around the arm. And this is just like the leg. Where we can, we'll make the stitches in a single pass, grabbing the arm and the edge of the body. And then where it gets awkward, we'll do that 2-part stitch where we make the stitch in 2 passes. Okay, so go, it's already getting a little funky monkey trying to get around the arm. So I'm going to start that two-part stitch where I go parallel to the stitch line on the arm side, and then I come back and grab the edge. Parallel, and then grab the edge. Here we go. Whoop. Grab the edge. So I thought I'd mention this because I just almost lost my thread here, but when you're stitching with a single thread like this, every time I pull a stitch through, I grab the thread with my fingers so I don't pull this tail end through the needle, and that helps. I know some people like to stitch with doubling the thread and knotting both ends, but I feel like you have more control if your thread breaks and you're using the thread the way I'm doing it right now. You can always save the stitch more easily. And a single thread rather than double thread, I think over the years I've tried a bunch of different things, and I've found that I just think you have more. It looks finer, even for beginner stitching. The stitches often look better. So, all right, so we're getting up to the shoulder here. Just do one more stitch and knot off. Let me bob that through. Go back to the black side, so, okay. Start with another longer thread for the other side so I can do it in one shot. All right. So again, we'll start down from the neck and reach that point on the shoulder. And here we are, going around the arms, catching the arm and the body in the one stitch. And I'm going to change that hybrid stitch here as we go under the armpit. I mentioned this earlier in the videos, and shame on me if I didn't, but I oriented the legs and the body so that the seam line goes on the inseam and on the underside of the arm. I hope I mentioned that. It certainly is in the fox pattern if you're following that to put the body together. And then we'll do our knot. And trim. Okay, so now we're ready to stuff the top of the neck. And I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the ends of these so they are not quite so much in our way. Sometimes people want to know exactly how long these pieces need to be, because they're going up inside the head, and then the head is going to cover the neck a little bit. So I don't think I think I do have it in the pattern somewhere, but I'm just gonna I'll just fold them back for now, and then we'll fold them down when we're ready to put the head on. Okay, let's get some things out of the way here. Here we go. So this piece that I'm trying to stuff in right now is too big, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, there we go. And get a little bit more wool. I'll flip it around, put a little on the back side. And so I would definitely want to get stuffing all the way up into the neck area, just so that the head has sort of a stable base to sit on. Okay, so let's see about these two bodies next to each other. They're pretty similar. This guy definitely has a little bit more down at the bottom, which I think I like. Okay, get a little bit more in here. Just right up to the top of the neck hole. Okay, so now we're at the point where we can fold these guys down. I'm just going to fold them down so that the sharp ends are tucked a bit into the neck. And then if I look at this, you can see that by making that channel up into the head, I'm going to have plenty of room to get that neck up inside there. So let's just take a look at how much we have here. About a ½ inch folded down should be pretty good and allow you to get just about any of the heads on. Okay, so now we're going to actually switch to this body because that already has our tail attached, and I'll show you how to attach the head. This one looks like it's got a little less folded down, but that works too. Okay, so here's the head, and we're going to do that channel thing. This guy has already been decapitated a couple of times, so he's really already got that channel in there. But then the head goes down like this, and you can decide how long you want its neck to be. Okay, and so for the neck, I'm going to go ahead and use 2 threads. Let me just find my thread, and you can use either black or the brown color for this, but I have the black thread handy in a big mess right here, so I'm going to go ahead and use the black. Okay, got a piece here. Cut it to slightly shorter length, about 20 inches, and thread my needle. So to attach the head, we want to do a blind stitch, and so I'm going to go through kind of underneath here and come out on the head side. And then what we're going to do is go parallel back and forth between the body, the head, the body, the head, the body, the head. So this is exactly the same way the tail gets attached, by the way. So I'm just going to walk you through it on the head, and then I think you'll be able to do it on the tail, but I'll tell you a few tricks. So here we go, parallel on the body, parallel to the seam on the head, parallel to the body. So basically what we're doing is a blind stitch is a running stitch stitched from the opposite side. So it's just that really simple in and out stitch, but we're connecting the two edges from the outside. Okay. So I'm just going to go around once for now, but sometimes I go around twice just for stability. So you can go ahead and do that if you feel like you want to. And then I'll pop this out of the way. Just do it so it's not coming out of the white area. Okay. There we go. And so that guy's head is connected. Now two. All right, so the tail is exactly the same thing, but on the tail, you're gonna have two pipe cleaners coming out. And sometimes when you make the hole, so you'll make the hole in the back of the body with the pointed end of your skewer, and you'll take the skewer and just, you know, twist it, twist it, twist it so you can make a nice hole, and then go up inside and make a channel for your pipe cleaner to go. And so when you have the two pipe cleaners stuck out of here, you can trim one pipe cleaner down so that it's flush with the opening of the tail, and leave the other pipe cleaner maybe, you know, say this long sticking out. So what is that? That's about an inch, inch and a quarter, something like that should probably work. And then you want to fold over the end of the pipe cleaner so that it is, you don't have a sharp end going up into the body because it'll get caught on the wool. Anyhow, if you're using the extra plush pipe cleaner and you need to trim off some of the end of your pipe cleaner, all you have to do is kind of go ahead like this, like an ear of corn, and trim off some of the fluff from the pipe cleaner to make it a little slimmer to get inside that hole. Okay, so now let's just take a quick look at the back here again, and where we're going to do our finishing touches with the micron pen or Prismacolor if you've got that. So I have a 005 pen here, but I also often use the 02 as well. This one is that I'm starting with, the 005, is the finest pen in the collection of these guys. But so what we're going to do is go ahead and just right where our seam is, we used black thread, so we don't need to color in the thread itself, but we're just going to go ahead and, like we did on the face, create these soft marks that transition this edge into something softer than what it is. The red pandas have this, you know, the fur shifts colors from the front to the back on their bodies, and that's what we're just trying to achieve here, something similar. The fine pen gives you, you know, it's not going to darken the area in super quickly, but it will give you the ability to do sort of fine, soft, hair-like markings. And I like to go kind of light because the tips are pretty fine on these, and they can get they do get worn down. And so if you press really hard, you can damage the tip earlier than you might want to. So you just go ahead and go all the way around and soften that edge. So that's it. I'll just keep doing this until I finish up. And so you can see how that edge is now a little bit softer, more like a real red panda, less like a stitched one. I'm just going to check under the chin, see if I want to add a little bit more here to soften the transition between the black front belly and the chin. All right, so that is it. I'm doing this little portion of the video after I finished the end of the video. So when I put his clothes on, you won't see these markings because I remembered to do this a little late. So anyway, so that's the markings on there. And then we'll get on to dressing him. So that's it. That's our little guy. And so I wanted to show you, I have Felix's clothes right here. And let's set this one aside. I have Felix's clothes right here, and we can see what those look like on the body. Okay, so here's his jacket, and here are his pants. So let's just take our little red panda here and get him all dressed up. Sometimes doing the buttons, I like to just use little pliers to get them in and out. Okay, and then the jacket. Little pliers. And I made this little scarf. This is just a cut of felt, and one of the things that I did is I pulled it out taut, and it sort of fluffs up the fibers by doing that. Here, let me cut a little piece of this that I can show you. This isn't long enough to be a scarf, but it'll demonstrate what I'm talking about. So it's nice and kind of even and flat, but when I do this, it kind of fluffs up the fibers and has this boiled wool kind of look to it, which I like. So it's one way to do a really simple scarf. And then you can either wet it and crumple it up, or just crumple it up in your hands, and it'll give it, you know, sort of a worn, kind of wrinkled look that I like. And then I just did a little trimming of fringe on the end, and then we've got a simple scarf. There we go, getting ready for fall here. All right, and then I think his whiskers are still a little long, but you can trim yours to whatever length you like. All right, there he is. Let's just give him a little close up here. So I think this head size looks super cute with the fox clothing, and this head size kind of looks like maybe it's like a teenager or something. So I'm going to go ahead and give you that scale head as well. I do think that the darts are harder to stitch when this pattern gets smaller. So just, you know, keep that in mind with the smaller pattern if you decide to make it. So anyhow, there they are. I hope you guys had fun with this pattern, and we will get right on to the seal next. Okay, have a great day. Take care for now.